Fighting games. They've been around since the 80s, and they are just as huge now as they were back then. With video games now considered as professional sports, fighting games are like the ultimate wrestling match, with crazy combos, finishers, and crazy names, as everyone wants a piece of the action. And here in the beautiful city of Toronto, action is definitely not in short supply. I went downtown to a bar called Chaxi's, and in the basement of the bar there were players battling it out. I spoke with one of the organizers, Nathan Monez, to hear his experiences with the fighting scene in Toronto.
Hosting fighting game tournaments is pretty dope. I like it a lot. Meet a lot of different colorful people, and everyone's normally there for a really good time, so everyone's typically upbeat, always happy, until someone loses a salty match, so for the most part it's good. I've been doing this for probably like 5 years now. Weirdest experience? Not much, honestly. Like, typically people are pretty normal. I mean, as normal as you can be, like playing video games professionally. It's mostly players that tend to be like top players that are like really, really weird. But overall, they're normally pretty good. I think the worst experience I've ever had is like wrangling, actually like having to wrangle players and be like, okay, you need to come and do this now. And they're like, I don't want to do that. And it's like, well, but I need you to. I paid for you to be here, you know? So, but besides that, like I said, it's normally pretty good. I love video games, obviously. Like making a career out of doing something within the realm of video games was always like in my mind. And fighting games specifically were the games I always grew up playing the most, even though like I never really had anyone to play against. But fighting it like Super Smash Bros. Melee, Street Fighter, like those were like some of my favorite games growing up. So now that I have the opportunity to actually like organize tournaments and stuff like that for them as my profession is like a dream come true. So the fighting game scene in Toronto is probably the biggest in Canada. I mean, obviously Toronto being the city that it is, it typically, like most of the scenes, if video game wise, in Toronto are the biggest in Canada. Normally the second biggest scenes are in Montreal, but fighting games in particular, Toronto's known for having a lot of grapplers. That's the meme around Toronto, is that we're the underground grappler place.
We also spoke with Joseph Kabari, also known as Toronto Joe in the community. He's also another tournament organizer, and we went to hear about his experiences and the challenges he faces.
It's fun. It's like it's a big undertaking for the larger events, but for the smaller ones, it's more so just, an opportunity to get to know people, chill, hang out, play games. So for the smaller scale events, a lot of fun. Larger scale events, a little more of a headache. But overall, it's a pretty positive thing overall. I'd rather be doing this than quite a few other things that I could be doing with my time, so I can't really complain there. Yeah, it definitely challenges you in terms of like your logistics, your understanding of logistics, like coordinating teams, managing communities is also a huge skill when it comes to things that transfer into more traditional jobs. Just because like you're dealing with so many people, and you're hearing feedback, what works, what doesn't, figuring out exactly how to best serve everyone so that everyone's happy and everyone gets the most out of the community, and also creating an atmosphere for people to feel welcome. I think that's a really big thing that a lot of workplaces value, is like, what is the culture of the workplace environment? Like, is it a good environment? Does it foster creativity, productivity? Are the people that they're working with happy about what they're doing? So that's something that I like to focus on too, because at the end of the day, I want people to have a good time at these events, and I want to do what the community is in the best interest of. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think being able to be flexible in that regard, and also having those leadership skills so that you can make those judgment calls and tackle projects of bigger scale is valuable. I think just with the way I approach people, like I'd like to think I'm pretty approachable, and like treat others how you want to be treated is like, you know, it's the golden rule, and it's something that I like to follow because you know, everyone that walks in the door, whether they're, you know, a top player or someone that's new, like there's a bare minimum amount of respect and, you know, courtesy that you're owed to someone, just as like being a basic human being. Like it's not like any rocket science or any like mumbo jumbo philosophy. So I think just overall treating people as they deserve and being mindful of the fact that, you know, the experience that they have, they carry with them. So if they have a good time, they'll be likely to, you know, join more events, be part of the community and contribute in a meaningful way. Whereas, you know, if you discourage someone that's a newcomer or, you know, they have a bad impression of the community or the events that they're hosted, you know, that might be a potential content creator or tournament organizer, player or commentator that could contribute really meaningfully to the scene that otherwise wouldn't have joined because they had a bad experience. I'd say there's a gender barrier, like not just in Canada, just overall, just because the culture has been so male-dominated for the longest time. But I think as we get more resources and more infrastructure to build the events and increase the quality of them, I think it'll make way for not just women, but all kinds of different people to come into these events and feel welcome. I think that's a big barrier right now that we're all facing, is like, how do you make a grassroots event feel like something that people want to be a part of, that aren't necessarily as interested in competitive gaming. So that's something that, you know, I scratch my head about a lot. But I think there's definitely been a lot of strides, like the language and the attitudes that used to be commonplace. Like a lot of that stuff is gone, which is great. And I think people are starting to recognize that, you know, male, female, whatever race you are, like just come out, enjoy the event for what it is, enjoy the game for what it is, and, you know, the person beside you, you're no better or different than, so.
Of course, fighters aren't always down in the basement fighting, as some get a chance to fight in the big leagues. EGLX is Canada's largest gaming expo, and here is where fighters show everyone what they got. With the fights being streamed live on Twitch and live commentators, the fights are entertaining, as the top-tier fighters of Toronto duke it out for the top spot in the championship, as well as the $2,000 prize money. So whether you're looking to make it big in the fighting scene, or just here to have a little bit of fun, win or lose, there's always something here in Toronto. I'm Drew Vickers, signing out.